Hi everyone, welcome to Sweet Kitty Crafts. This is tutorial number 1 and it's about yarn dyeing. I've been dyeing yarn for just about 2 months now and I'm an absolute beginner, but I really like to show you how I dye my yarn and maybe you can enjoy it or learn something about it. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below. If you want to see more of this, you can subscribe. It's free. So you get a message when a new video is uploaded. I will be making a podcast later on this week. I'll do every podcast and tutorial in the Dutch and English language. So if you want to brush up on your Dutch, go and look at the Dutch tutorial of this one. It will be I will be using acid dyes from a Dutch company. You can use your own acid dyes, that won't make any difference. I hope you enjoy this one. It was fun to make. I'll see you at the end of the video to show you the finished yarn. Enjoy. Hope to see you again. My name's Yolanda. See you later. Before you can dye your yarn, you got to soak them in lukewarm water with a bit of citric acid. I use 2 spoonsful of the citric acid. It's good to open up the fibers. Before you put it into the water, the skeins, you kind of open them up. You can just put them in if you've got enough time, and they will float on the surface, and they will emerge with the water and they will sink, and when they're totally under the water, they're ready to be used. If you don't have that much time, you can just push them in and they will absorb the water a little bit better. The skeins on top contain silk, and silk is always a bit harder to soak because it will resist the water, so it will take a bit longer. But when they're done, we're gonna do more filming, so we're gonna wait until then. So before you can start dyeing, you got to mix up your colors. Use protective gloves and some kind of mask so you don't inhale the particles if you're using acid dyes. I'm using a Dutch company dyes. I'm gonna do purple, which is called Bonte Wikke, and I'm gonna use a magenta color, which is called Bosandorn. It's an acid dye, so it means you gotta use put in some acid. It can be vinegar or citric acid. The citric acid is a bit more concentrated, so you don't need that much. Just gonna put in. I'm using glass jars, they're heat resistant. Don't use anything you're gonna use for your food, so it won't contaminate that. I'm gonna mix up one, and the other one will be for the Dutch tutorial. I've got a little measuring spoon. It's 1 milliliter or 1 cc. Just gonna fill it half full because I want a light color, a very pale pink. I'm gonna put that in. Okay, close it up. I've boiled some water in my water kettle and I'm gonna pour it in. If you put the particles in first, it's much easier to dissolve. Otherwise it's gonna float on top and you gotta stir real good. So actually, it looks already very nice. That's what the color is like. And after you mix all your colors, you're going to be ready to dye. We're almost ready to go. There is water in the pan with some citric acid. I use the water from the sink because it's perfectly good, and it's a shame to waste it. I'm gonna use some Superwash yarn. That's the best thing for this technique because you're gonna move the yarn around and otherwise it will felt. I'm using 75% wool and 25% nylon with a bit of stellina, so it's going to be a glittery sock yarn. I will use the pink color first, and I will save the purple for the merino with silk blend. We're going to do some dip dyeing, which means when the water is to a boil, we're going to add the pigment. which we already made. And then we're gonna put the yarn in just a little bit at a time, and then we're gonna put it up and down, just because the first part is gonna hit the water. It's going to absorb a lot of dye, and every time you put it in there will be less dye in the pot, so it will be from dark to light. That's the idea. So I'm going to put half of the mixture I made. I'm going to put it in here because I want a light color. So hopefully this is going to be a light pink. Okay, well, the water is almost to a boil now. I just squeezed out the most excess from the yarn. Just make sure your yarn is tied into several places, because it will be a tangled mess otherwise. Most of the water is squeezed out. So actually we're ready to go. Gonna find one of the ties and gonna grab it there, because it is going to be real hot, so be careful not to burn yourself. Just going to put out the heat now, and we're going to start dipping. Let the fun begin. Every time you lift it, it's going to absorb a bit more of the color. So every time you let it in there again, just go a little bit further, and I think you already can see that the bottom is much darker than the top. There's still color in the pan. You can always hope you can see that too. I think I'm gonna put the rest in now, and we'll just let it stand like this until most of the color is absorbed. Actually, all of the color is absorbed and the water is clear. And then I'm gonna lift it out, put it in the sink and let it cool completely. You can let it cool in the pan, so the water is completely cool, but it will take a lot longer, and I want to make more tutorials, so I'm gonna let it stay like this. I'll do a real quick look. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but there's still a little bit of color in there, so we're gonna wait, I think, 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna check again. The water is almost clear now, so I'm gonna take out the yarn. I'm gonna use some tongs and grab one end. I'm just gonna roll it up like it is some kind of spaghetti. You can already see how the color is progressing from light to dark. There's a bit of color left in the pan. Normally I would really wait till everything is absorbed, but I'm gonna dye another skein, so that won't be a problem. If the water is completely clear, you can put in another color and dye another skein. When the dripping is over, I'm gonna put it over to the sink and let it cool down completely. So that's the dip dyeing technique for so far. Alright, we're gonna dye the next yarn. I've saved some of the water with a little bit of color in there, so I'm gonna put it in the pot. So the next yarn will be purple, but with a little tint of this fuchsia color on the bottom, so it will shine through in some places. I'm using merino silk blend, which I haven't used before, so I'm very excited to see how it's gonna work out. This one we don't put in any color except for the color that was already in there. I just removed some because I made 2 tutorials, one in Dutch and one in English. So this will be only leftover color, and we're just gonna put it in there in one go. And it's already absorbing some of the leftover pink. What we're gonna do next, I'm gonna put on my gloves now because I will be using color again. I've got half of my cup of color left because the other half I used for the other skein. I'm just gonna use a syringe like this and gonna grab some of the color. If you want the color to be evenly distributed, you're gonna keep moving the yarn a little bit while you add the color. So you can add it just a little bit at a time. Don't stir it too hard, because the yarn will get tangled unnecessarily. And you got more work to do when you get it out of the water. So this is all superwash, so it will not felt, but you better just be careful. Because you move the yarn in the pot, the dye is gonna get more chance to distribute. Sorry about that, won't come out right. So I'm just gonna keep adding this. And I already saw it with the first tutorial in Dutch. It's going to be a very light and pale lilac color. So I already told the Dutch people, if you like it more, to have more color, you can always repeat this process. You can always say, well, I'm going to add some blue, and then it will absorb blue in some places. And you will get a sort of a marbled effect, which would look pretty cool, I think. So gently stirring. I already see this is going to look like spaghetti. It's all tangled, but if it is tied in a few places, 3 or 4, it's going to be all right. So when you do add all the paint, you're just gonna let it sit there until the water is clear again, and then you can get it out and let it cool down. And in the next segment I'm gonna show you how to wash it when it's completely cool, and I'm gonna put it in the centrifuge from my washing machine, which will make it look terrible. And you're gonna think, well, it's never gonna get anything but a tangled mess. But yes, that is gonna be alright. And then we're gonna put it outside to dry, because it's gonna be a real hot day today, and it will be dry in no time. So luckily for us, this is a good day for dyeing. See you later. I'm just gonna let it stay and let it clear the water till the water is clear, and then I will be back. See you later. Alright, the yarn is cooling down right now. Some of it is already as cool so I can touch it. So just grab it by one of the strings and just gently give it a shake so it will untangle. I'm just gonna put it in the sink, nice and straight. Gonna grab the purple one. Oh, it is pretty hot still. Just grab one of the strings, give it a bit of a shake, and it already starts to untangle. Just fold it in half and lay it in the sink. And do this with all the skeins you've got. Okay, well, all the yarn is in the sink. I'm just going to use some shampoo, and it's going to squeeze it over there, like this. So there's a nice coat over all the skeins. You can always use a dishwasher detergent or wool wash, whatever you want. Then we're going to fill the sink with just hand warm water, nothing hot or something. And while the water is running, you gently pat your yarn, just up and down. So the soap will get through the bottom and will clean out the excess paint. If we did it right, there won't be any excess paint, but some paint will give a little bit of bleeding. So a good wash is always the best thing. Alright, well, they all got a good bath now, so I'm just going to grab one of these skeins. You're gonna rinse it with water. Give it a good squeeze, and that's the way you do it with all the yarn. If you squeeze it tightly, you can roll it into a towel and hang it to dry. I always like to put it in the washing machine only for the spin cycle, but you got to be a bit daring to do that because you got some untangling to do. But I'm going to show that to you later. So I'm going to do it in my washer now, and I'll be back with you to show the untangling stuff. See you in a minute. So hi, I'm back. I just pulled this out of my washing machine. Well, this looks a bit scary, but I'm going to try to untangle it for you. Just grab one of the skeins and look for the ties. Let's hope this works. It works every time, but on camera it's always different. Find another tie. Yeah, here it is. You can already see it's all starting to untangle. Something not quite right over this side. Just grab it in another spot, and there it is. I'm just going to put it over your arms, going a bit back now, like this, and just give it a tug. Move it over, give it another tug. Just keep turning it till all the lines are straight. You're going to come a bit forward so you can see it's pretty nice lined up. I always use the hooks I used to put on my spoons like this. Oh. And put one on the strands, and I'm gonna put it outside like this, and it's gonna be dry in a few hours. So that's for now. Hi and welcome back. Actually, it only took 45 minutes in the sun before it was dry. It was really quick. It turned out beautifully. I will show you the yarn we dyed. This is the sock yarn, which is 70% wool and 25% nylon with a bit of stellina. You can see clearly the light spots and the darker spots. Well, sections I should say. Well, for the ones who missed the winding thing I showed you on the podcast, it's very easy. Put your thumbs in there and on the other side and just start turning. Well, my thumb got stuck. And when it tries to kink on itself, you've got to remove one thumb and give it a few more twists. Go to the other side, and the one with the thumb still in there, you gotta pull it over the other end. It's quite easy. Hope you can see that. Pull the end through. Just a little bit of remodeling, and you really got a wonderful skein of yarn that we just dyed in a very simple technique. I think it's gorgeous. I already made one for the Dutch tutorial, so I've got two now. As you could hear me say, I thought the purple one or the lilac one was really light, but it turned out nicer than I thought it would be. But this is it. It's not that light, of that pale. I'm gonna wipe that in real quick. With the silk it just behaves differently. It would be more drapey when you knit it up. And it's because, of course, it is very smooth and soft. Here's this. Pull one loop over the other, and it's a gorgeous skein. On this side I can see it clearly. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the fuchsia haze underneath it. It's a gorgeous skein. Would make a really lovely project. I wonder if socks would behave good. If the stretch will keep in there. I think they're gorgeous, and it was no effort at all. It wasn't difficult. So as I said, I'm a beginner. So if you got things you do differently, of course, there's no right or wrong way. This is just the way I do it. There are lots of other ways to dye a yarn, in a microwave or hand painting. I will show some tutorials later on. I just wanted to start with this one. I hope you enjoyed. You can subscribe if you want to. I've got an Etsy shop. I will put a link below. You can have and take a look. Maybe you get some ideas for color combinations or other dyeing ideas. There are shawls in there, so you can see how certain things knit up. If you want to buy something, that would be great, of course. I will be making a podcast later on. I think this is it for now. I'm Yolanda. I wish you all the best. See you next time. Bye bye. Well, of course that won't be Sweet Kitty Crafts without any kitties involved. So here's my Molly. Hi Molly. Hi cutie pie. She appeared in some of my videos because she's my little doggy. She's always following me everywhere. She's one of the kitties of Sweet Kitty Crafts. I've got 3 kitties and 1 dog, and they're all the cutest thing there are. She's just licking me. She's so sweet. Bye bye for now. Say goodbye, Molly.